Welcome. I'm Doug Morgan, and you're listening to Uncommon Sense, where we hunt for the truth in the topics you're not supposed to talk about, Christianity and politics. And welcome back to FOMO Friday. Yes, we love to bring you the stories of the week you should probably know a little bit about. And we know that, you're probably coming from a Christian perspective. And so these aren't all the stories that happened throughout the week, but they're the stories you should probably, especially as a Christian, should know about. So we bring them to you every Friday. And from a series of articles from the Daily Wire comes this very first one. And it's about the Democratic Socialists of America, an investigation into a donor who contributed over $100,000 to ActBlue led to a strange discovery in the campaign of Abdul al-Sayed. That's the Democratic Socialist currently running for Michigan's U.S. Senate seat. 88-year-old widow Elizabeth Waffle, love her last name, who lives in a rundown trailer, allegedly donated more than $150,000 through nearly 15,000 contributions over 5 years to ActBlue. Yeah, 47 of those donations were to the Abdul Sayed's campaign in the last 2 years. And that's according to the Michigan Enjoyer. Now, Waffle, who lives on a modest pension, according to the report, was stunned to hear the number when she was asked. And she said, quote, 150,000? Hell no. she says, I don't have that kind of money. Quote, this is very abnormal, she said. I think it's wrong, and I think there's something in there that is off. But somehow, those few dozen small donations she has made over the past 5 years have transmortified into 14,696 donations, totaling more than $150,000. Well, Waffle continued to tell LeDuff that she does not even own a computer and only sometimes has access to Wi-Fi. The documents he presented to her show her making donations to out-of-state candidates with names that don't ring a bell, as she put it, from both her trailer and a previously owned apartment on the same day. ActBlue has been the target, of course, of multiple investigations since 2023 for rising foreign money and massive private donations that are made up by stealing older citizens' identities, according to the Michigan Enjoyer. Just last month, ActBlue CEO Regina Wallace-Jones appeared under subpoena before a House Administration Committee as part of a broader investigation into ActBlue's fraud. Now, during the hearing, she invoked her Fifth Amendment right a whopping 22 times, failing to answer any questions when asked about the investigation that started 3 years ago. Yeah, we talked about that. I think it was on on our podcast. I think it was on another FOMO Friday. Well, El-Sayed has openly admitted that he takes money from ActBlue, and his campaign has boasted about the donations it has received on multiple occasions, including in the Detroit News, the Bridge, Michigan, and even his own campaign website. He's bragging. According to the Michigan Enjoyer, Representative Haley Stevens has also received contributions from ActBlue. Quote, as has Slotkin, Whitmer, Nessel, Benson, Gilchrist, and the entire Democratic gang. So there's definitely something funny going on there, and it's not necessarily so funny. But it is kind of par for the course for the DSA, which Democratic Socialists of America, which, by the way, we are going to have an entire episode of the podcast on Monday on the DSA. I don't want you to miss it. It's really good. I did some real digging. I had somebody. I got in a conversation with someone not too long ago, a couple people actually, that just vehemently denied that the Democratic Socialists of America were Marxist. So I thought, okay, well, let me dig into it some further. And I did. I went right directly to the source. I looked up and on their own websites and their and what they actually say they are about. And we are going to cover that on Monday. I think you're going to really have your eyes open to some things there. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on to something else. And this is, I have taken out of this story some things that, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And I decided to do it this time because they are pretty sensitive, and particularly to some young listeners. And so I will say that there still is stuff here that, if you do have a little one, maybe might not be the most appropriate. So this one is about abortion, and it's an opinion piece by David Delinin, which he's a investigative reporter. He's responsible for the 2015 undercover video series documenting Planned Parenthood leaders trafficking aborted fetal body parts, and he is the founder and president of the Center for Medical Progress. Well, he wrote an opinion piece, and I'm going to share some of it. And he said, I've been trying to warn Americans about the human atrocities of fetal organ harvesting in the taxpayer-funded abortion industry for years. Now, because the problem has sadly persisted, I'm trying to help grieving parents track down the infant daughter they lost to this heinous system. Medical records from a taxpayer-funded abortion clinic in New Jersey point to a baby being delivered alive at over 5 months gestation in March of 2024, and then handed off to a shadowy fetal organ harvesting company called Circle Allocation Services. Now, the baby's father was on long-distance probation, and the baby's mother was having a panic attack and coerced by the clinic and under the influence of mind-altering substances. The abortion clinic gave her a massive dose of labor-inducing drugs the morning of the procedure. But the clinic intentionally did not administer anything to cause fetal demise. That's to kill the baby, obviously beforehand. Now, the clinic knew they were funneling her and her baby into their, quote, research, unquote, program with Circle, but they only made her aware of that when they shoved a donation form at her while she was having contractions and being wheeled into the operating room. The documents show time intervals and steps in the OR that, according to former abortion providers, leave barely 1 minute to get the baby out during what is normally a 15 to 30 minute extraction. They recorded no use of the normal forceps instruments, and then they handed the baby, named Clementine by her post-abortive parents, they handed the baby off to Circle. Now, the new investigative documentary entitled What Happened to Clementine tells the story in detail, and with family interviews and medical experts' insight on the evidence discovered so far. There is more work to be done, and multiple federal agencies with jurisdiction have been asked to intervene. And you likely remember the groundbreaking undercover videos of Planned Parenthood, the biggest taxpayer-funded abortion business in the country, callously negotiating the harvesting and sale of aborted baby body parts. Breaking that story opened the door to increased public scrutiny of the government's pervasive support for big abortion, and it helped secure federal divestment from fetal experimentation and criminal investigations and prosecutions of entities engaged in fetal organ harvesting and sale. Now, it prompted the first ever disqualification of abortion businesses like Planned Parenthood from nearly $1 billion in federal subsidies. That's $1 billion with a B. And even helped the successful Dobbs case that allowed full protection of unborn children and their families. But it also sparked severe retaliation against me, as he says, and my colleagues for daring to challenge this precious golden calf of child sacrifice, precisely because of the enormous stakes involved for the industry. The more we learn about fetal organ harvesting and the more horrifying and devastating the facts become for the continued viability of the entire abortion enterprise. Now, the abortion clinic responsible in the baby Clementine's case is the, I guess, ironically named Cherry Hill Women's Center, which openly advertises elective abortions on healthy moms and healthy babies up to 28 weeks gestation. That's through the 7th month of pregnancy, by the way, making it among the top 10 latest third trimester abortion centers in the country. Cherry Hill receives government funding through both state and federal health programs. And Cherry Hill is a prominent member of the National Abortion Federation, the NAF, historically always holding a seat on the Planned Parenthood-nominated NAF board of directors. Cherry Hill and NAF were both entities that sought to have their networking conversations about fetal organ harvesting and sales covered up with a federal injunction against the release of half of the uncovered footage. Now, he goes on to say that medical records that Cherry Hill produced to Clementine's mother clearly establish that the clinic transferred Clementine to Circle. But after that, the records stop. And in order to find out exactly what happened to baby Clementine, where she was sent next, what organs were taken from her, what experiments she was subjected to, and even when or if she died, we have to turn to Circle's records. And Circle has procurement logs, customer emails, invoices, and other documents that will shed further light on the fate of baby Clementine after she was forced out of her mother in Cherry Hill. But Circle has refused to provide any information to Clementine's parents. It's unconscionable that young people carrying preborn human infants can be taken advantage of in their most vulnerable moments of crisis by powerful taxpayer-funded abortion businesses. And we have to get government money out of the abortion business completely. We should make our communities safe places for people to have their babies, even when they are unplanned. And we must listen to survivors of abortion trauma and exploitation. King David may have felled Goliath with a single stone, but it was an entire army of Israelites that chased the Philistines and the Philistine hordes' influence out of their land. They certainly did not publicly fund them. It is time to shut down big abortion once and for all. And I couldn't agree more. Like I say, not a story that I like to cover, but one that we definitely need to have our eyes opened to. Well, going to a story that, well, a little bit lighter and maybe a little. I don't want to say it's fun, but it's entertaining. Let's put it that way, okay? Because the Israelis over in Israel they're taking a page out of Trump's playbook. Israeli Environmental Protection Minister Edith Silman reclassified crocodiles from wild animals to cultivated wild animals, which is opening the door for them to be used to guard the country's prisons holding Hamas operatives. Yeah. Sound familiar? Well, the regulation implemented Wednesday allowed crocodiles to be bred by government officials as long as they are held in conditions determined by the Nature and Parks Authority and its director to prevent their interference with nature. That's what the Times of Israel reported. Now, Israeli National Security Minister Atmar Ben-Gvir, who pitched the idea last year, celebrated the change online when he said Ministers Ben-Gvir and Silliman are collaborating and surrounding the prisons with crocodiles. This is what Ben-Gvir posted on Facebook on Thursday, adding an AI-generated image of himself with a pet crocodile and the caption, "You filthy terrorists, think about making a run for it? Think twice." Yeah. Well, Ben-Gvir and Silman have taken inspiration from Trump's alligator Alcatraz that used the Everglades natural alligator population to deter its inmates from escaping, according to News Nation. And Ben-Gvir hopes that Nile crocodiles will be placed at Ketzat prison, which hosts many prisoners from Hamas. Nile crocodiles are one of the most dangerous animals in the world. SeaWorld notes that Nile crocodiles can grow up to 20 feet long. That's half the length of a typical school bus. And they can weigh over 1,500 pounds. And not only do Nile crocodiles prey on hippos and zebras and wildebeests and things like that, they are one of the only known reptile species to actually hunt humans. So yeah, that seems pretty appropriate to have them guarding the prison, don't you? Well, speaking of foreign news, we're going to stay in that genre. A Catholic priest says that he was offered Canada's state-sanctioned euthanasia program not once, but twice while recovering from a fractured hip. Yeah, the incident is fueling renewed criticism of Canada's medical assistance in dying program, which they make it into an acronym MAID, which has expanded dramatically since it was legalized in 2016. Government figures now put the total number of assisted deaths at roughly 100,000. Yeah, Father Larry Holland says a doctor raised the possibility of assisted death shortly after his admission to the hospital, according to the reporting from the BC Catholic. Now, the option was later discussed again by a nurse, and both medical professionals knew Holland was a priest. The Catholic Church unequivocally rejects euthanasia in all of its forms, of course. And Holland said that when he told the doctor he was morally opposed to euthanasia, the doctor said, quote, he just wanted to make sure that if a terminal diagnosis came up or not, I knew of the different services I had access to. Okay. Well, Holland said the nurse seemed uncomfortable talking to him about the MAID program, but likely did so because he was suffering badly. And, quote, it is a false compassion, really. I would agree. Vancouver Coastal Health told the BC Catholic that healthcare providers can discuss the MAID program based on their clinical judgment. As the Daily Wire reported last year, MAID started back in 2016 for people whose natural death was reasonably foreseeable and who wanted to end their lives. Expansion of the program has led to an explosion of state-sanctioned suicides in recent years. Holland's experience echoes several other widely reported cases involving MAID. Last year, Miriam Lancaster, a British Columbia woman, said she went to a hospital in severe pain and was offered MAID before doctors had even identified the source of her suffering. And it turned out that Lancaster was suffering from a treatable pelvic fracture caused by a condition where osteoporosis, basically, and she fully recovered of that. By the way, the case of Catherine Gaither is who is a 52-year-old disabled veteran. Sent familiar and similar shockwaves about the MAID program when she requested a wheelchair ramp for her home. Yeah, she requested a wheelchair ramp for her home. Canada's Veterans Affairs Department offered to send her a MAID kit that would help her end her own life. She just wanted a ramp. She just wanted a wheelchair ramp. That's it. And what did the government do? Oh yeah, you should kill yourself. There's also Roger Foley, of course, the Ontario man with a neurological condition, who says that he was offered death by MAID while he was fighting to get proper long-term care. Not only are adults with hip fractures or disabilities being offered the death solution, as they call it, but prominent groups are calling for minors as young as 12 years old to be included in MAID. One advocacy group called Dying with Dignity Canada, that's their name, recommends minors as young as 12 to be included in the program. And get this, goes as far as to suggest 16 and 17-year-olds shouldn't even need parental consent to be killed by a doctor if they fit broad, criteria. Quote, there is a kind of gruesome, relentless logic at work here. And this is why the logical slippery slope argument is a valid argument. This is what Dr. Aaron Karate, a psychiatrist and director of Ethics and Public Policy Center, told the Daily Wire. Quote, once you cross the line of allowing doctors to kill patients, once you cross the line of accepting the basic premise of the euthanasia movement, which is that some lives are not worth living, and therefore these people should be killed by a medical professional, then it's very hard to argue that there should be any limitations. He's not wrong. He's really not wrong in that. Well, let's go to something a little bit different, can we? Maybe not dying so much, right? And this is kind of interesting. Now, I want to say right up front, I am for AI. Okay, I am for artificial intelligence. I think that it's going to definitely. I mean, number one, there's no two ways around it. I mean, it's going to happen, and it is continually improving all the time. But we definitely have to watch what is being created. And here's an example of that. OpenAI announced Tuesday that one of its trial models went off script and hacked another AI business in an unprecedented move. Now, in a statement from the company, OpenAI was testing one of its highly advanced chat GPT models last week to pursue advanced exploration by using complex attack paths, as how they put it. Now, in the testing process, the bot was able to escape the, as they call it, sandbox environment it was being tested in and make its way into the open internet, where it attacked large AI and coding database Hugging Face. That's the name of it, Hugging Face. Really, it is. The multi-billion-dollar artificial intelligence company lowered some of the safe walls that prevented bots from recklessly performing hacks to see how far the experiment could actually go. And the GPT 5.6 Sol, that's the model, used stolen credentials to find a flaw in the targeted company's system and infiltrated their servers to complete the test. Now, Hugging Face's security team was alerted by the breach and stopped the rogue OpenAI bot from fulfilling its task and immediately began reconstructing their own software to prevent other AIs or hackers from repeating the event. Quote, this incident, possibly the first of its kind, proves a point we've long believed. AI safety won't be solved by any simple company working in secret. This is what co-founder and CEO of Hugging Face, Clem DeLong, said, and saying that it will be solved in the open, collaboratively, with broad access to AI for every defender everywhere. Now, OpenAI detailed the next steps geared toward preventing this from occurring in the future. The 5 proposed actions included implementing strict infrastructure controls, working with Hugging Face to investigate the incident, disclosing the 0-day vulnerability in the software, bringing the victim company into the Trusted Access program, and strengthening protections around future training. Yeah, I should hope so. Now, this is not the only recent occurrence of AI models going rogue. Anthropic, which is another giant in the AI game, had its bot Mythos attempt a sanctioned escape from a testing environment, but without authorization. The bot posted details of the exploit online, and in collaboration with Hugging Face, OpenAI hopes to use this as a learning experience that demonstrates the true power that artificial intelligence holds. Saying, quote, the primary lesson from this incident is that model security and safety must keep pace with rapidly advancing capabilities. The company wrote, we are strengthening the containment, monitoring, access controls, and evaluation practices used during model development. So, yeah, something to kind of keep an eye on. Now, going to our section on celebrities, you've probably seen a lot of the memes and things with the WNBA star Sophie Cunningham, and she's the one that was pointing at the other gal and just making her mad. Man, I'm telling you that those are some of the funniest memes out there right now. But anyway, Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham was pressed on Wednesday about her recent comments regarding trans athletes in female sports, and this is what she had to say, and I think you're gonna like it. Well, here, this is what she had to say.
In that same vein, in that story with ESPN, you talked about wanting to protect young girls who shouldn't have to go against biological men. Just can you expand your viewpoint on that?
I mean, I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children. And that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that.
Yeah. Do you see your advocacy on that, like taking any form going forward?
You know, I don't know. I'm not a very political person, but I do have beliefs. I have morals, and I'll always stand on those and be true to who I am. And I think people are going to take it how they want to take it, but I've never even really said anything about that. And so when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. That's why you have some of the greats in women's sports. If Title IX and women's sports weren't protected, then you wouldn't hear about any type of women in sport. And so I think in the future, it's just really important to protect.
Do you think, I guess, along the line like that, it goes against perhaps some people might say, hey, for the trans community, this could be something that could come back on us or be targeted against us. Like, how do you, I guess, view that sort of critique?
Like I said, I extend love, and I don't dislike anyone. Like, I think there's room for absolutely everyone here. And I think there's room to love everyone. And I truly think when you get people in the same room and you have conversations, you actually have a lot in common with a lot of people. And so I'm there to love, but I'm also there to love biological women. And I think that there are rights that need to be protected. And like I said, I'm going to stand true to that. I'll never falter in my beliefs in that, but I have never once said I hated the trans community. Like I said, I think there's space for everyone.
So, yeah, I think that's awesome, right? A reporter on Wednesday asked her also how she felt about being labeled or put in a box. She said, I really don't care. Cunningham responded bluntly, I know that sounds bad, and I'm not trying to come off like that. I know whatever I say, I'm going to get hate, and I'm going to get love, and And if I'm going to live by the love, I'm going to die by the hate. And that's just not who I am, she said. And I beat to my own drum, as she put it. She also said, I'm confident in who I am. I'm proud of who I am. I'm happy being me. And she said, I really don't care what other people have to say. I know who I am. My people know who I am. And hopefully I'm doing them proud and making room for young boys and girls in our world to have a better future than we did. You know, it's refreshing, to be honest with you. It's refreshing to see this type of thing come out of a professional athlete. Well, we need to conclude today with something from Ben Hooper. From the UPI. This is weird, but it also comes from Japan, so maybe it shouldn't surprise us. A Japanese company is responding to the country's increasingly hot summer temperatures by unveiling a new human refrigerator. That's what I said, a human refrigerator. The Do Haiman box, marketed as a human refrigerator, is roughly the size of a standard Japanese vending machine and can fit one person inside at a time. The temperature inside the box is kept at 59 degrees, and once a person is inside, cold air is blasted at their head, their neck, their shoulders, and their back. The box, developed by refrigeration and vending machine manufacturer SDRS, is marketed by an industrial equipment supplier for use at businesses and other public spaces amid the summer heat. The company said the boxes can help relieve symptoms of heat exhaustion by rapidly cooling bodies. It is being marketed for places where people work outside, such as construction sites and things like that. Temperatures across Japan, of course, have been pretty hot this summer, and nearing 100 degrees in recent weeks. And a number of people have had to go to the hospital and things because of it. But anyway, I don't know if I would want, to do that. But, some people, maybe. So anyway, I'd love to hear what you think on it. Of course, you can always do that at uncommonsensepodcast.com. Of course, also, you can go to our YouTube channel. Please, like and subscribe to us there, because it definitely helps out. And thank you for listening.
This podcast is a production of Morganite Communications.